Wake up, sleeper.
Hello indie game fans, the Steam Next Festival begins on October 14th and apparently will have over 3,000 games participating, each with their own demos to check out, where these events have really become marquee promotional opportunities for developers, so I'm beginning coverage early with some of these having demos that are already available right now so you can play them over the weekend. But let's begin with Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector. This is the sequel to a hit RPG that takes inspiration from tabletop experiences, so dice rolling and slotting them into spaces to get the desired outcome, where in this sequel, you play as an escaped android with a malfunctioning body and a price on your head, having to assemble a crew to try and escape instead of being set on a lawless space station. But if the first game is any indication, this should be an absolute banger. I just received a press release from the publisher of Metal Bringer, and it is of note since this is from the same developer as that of Samurai Bringer, but of course sci-fi with Max instead of feudal Japan, both being action roguelite titles that throw a bunch of enemies at you. While it might look like it was inspired by Vampire Survivors, Samurai Bringer had more in common with the Musou or Dynasty Warriors style of game, but in this, the gimmick is that the mechs that you pilot are fully customizable, awesome boss designs and a fantastic art style whose demo is live so you can play it right now. This video is brought to you by ReSetna, a post-apocalyptic 2.5D Metroidvania where our heroine and her drone companion are on a quest to seek out the source of a mysterious signal that is driving the other robots to madness and to eventually reset the future. You know me, I love my Metroidvanias, so these always get a look, where the sci-fi theme is pretty neat and has matching visual elements in environmental and enemy designs. The game takes place in a crumbling world, so you are working your way through ruins, uncovering the history of the world with environmental storytelling and cryptic communications. There is a customizable chip upgrade system that allows you to tweak the character to suit your playstyle, which, combined with battles against giant mechanical monsters, as well as hidden rooms and secrets in the world, looks like it will provide a great Metroidvania experience. It will be part of the Steam Next Festival next week, but the demo is already available right now, so get a head start on the event by playing the demo and wishlisting the game if interested via the link in the description below. We also have the cheekily named Knights in Tight Spaces, which is the follow-up to Fights in Tight Spaces, where can you imagine how many possible variations that this developer can make in the future? Crimes in tight spaces, brides in tight spaces, bites in tight spaces, and so on. But for now, this is similar to their earlier game in being a grid-based, turn-based tactical roguelite with cards. The twist here is that you are now controlling a party of 3 characters, so a little similar to Into the Breach, being able to use complementary abilities to most effectively kill your enemies, having an awesome art style as well, with this demo also being available right now. A game that has the potential to be huge is Rivals of Aether II, the indie platform fighter that is the sequel to a must-play, and is one of the rare indie fighting games that have garnered enough of an audience to be a little juggernaut of its own. While the art style did switch from pixel art to 2.5D, I'm sure that they have their reasons for doing so, featuring many returning characters as well as some new ones. In terms of monetization, they have promised that every character added to the game will be free and are hoping to monetize on cosmetics, with the base game not being free to play, and is one of the friendliest models for fighting games that I have seen. There will also be an engaging and living world due to post-launch updates, special events and new modes, and most interestingly, was picked up by publisher Off-Brand Games, whose face is streamer Ludwig, and as ex-Blizzard indie developer Thor from Pirate Software as its director of strategy, 2 creators with absolutely massive followings, with lead developer Dan Fonance being one of the most well-known game developers as well, so I have every expectation that this is going to be huge. A couple of you took to this game when I last showed it off, since Karate Survivors has a main character that is certainly paying tribute to Hong Kong acting legend Jackie Chan and has gameplay to match. While it is certainly inspired by Vampire Survivors due to the swarms of enemies that it throws at you, combat is rather different, since instead of spamming projectiles yourself, you have to use your punches and kicks, as well as environmental objects to defeat your opponents. These include random mobs and brooms lying around, tables and chairs in a bar, plates and glasses that can be thrown, and more, mixed in with randomized upgrades which can make you overpowered. So if interested, this demo is available as well. I love my roguelites, and one of the sickest looking upcoming ones is Cursebane from Korean developer Flyway Games, set in the ever-changing Forest of Fate, as you use your elementally enhanced katana to cut through your enemies. While there is a plot about saving people doomed by prophecy from a curse, as with most roguelites, it shouldn't really matter since the combat here looks awesome. There's a mix of both swarms of enemies, vampire survivors style, as well as intense one-on-one boss fights with pixel art that looks so gorgeous, so of course it gets a mention, whose demo is also already out now. The developer of this next title has quite the background, being ex-Bethesda, having worked on games like Skyrim.
Hey, you! You're finally awake.
Fallout 3, 4 and 76, Starfield, and also Metroid Prime 3 and Blood Rain 2 from further back, who has gone indie and is now making a heavy metal horror first-person shooter named The Axis Unseen. This has you playing as a bow-wielding hunter, having to hunt down nightmarish monsters using a variety of elemental arrows as well as enhanced sensors to do so in a very Witcher kind of way. The cool thing about this is that it appears to be quite immersive, with the UI all being in-game, such as having to check the quiver for how many arrows you have left, rather than it showing up as a number in your HUD, so you really need to pay attention and be tuned in to the world. It is open world in structure, so you can go to fantastic locations to hunt these creatures down, and does look absolutely gorgeous, so if curious, it's your lucky day since this also has a playable demo right now and will be launching soon after. One of my most anticipated titles is Chrono Sword, a 2D pixel art Souls-like action-adventure RPG with a time travel mechanic, where our heroine has to travel between the past and future to find out more about the destruction of the world. I have been banging on and on about this game at least since 2021, so to see it in the Steam Next Festival is encouraging since that is another step closer to release. This looks to be a little bit like Bloodborne meets Hyper Light Drifter, with the whole city gone mad kind of grimdark gothic vibe, where the time travel aspect is interesting since past choices can change the future, but also actions in the future can create paradoxes which will affect the past. I'm not sure how that will work in terms of progressing the story and how open-ended this will be, so we'll get a taste of it next week. Of course, the next title from the developer of Dead Cells will be of interest in Windblown, a lightning-fast action roguelite from that 3/4 view instead of being a platformer like their other game. This has quite the interesting world building since our heroes live in the village on a floating chunk of land that swirls around a gigantic vortex where enemies known as sentinels spawn from there and you need to fight them off. The initial review trailer showed the heroes getting brutally murdered by these sentinels, so that is part and parcel of the game, where dying leaves a memory for the next run and you can absorb the powers of fallen warriors to create new synergies and combos. It is also built for co-op for up to 3 players, so I'm interested to see how balance will be done for single player, but given the pedigree, I'm confident that this will be great and also releases in Steam Early Access shortly after the next festival. Another game that I think will be huge is the 2.5D Souls-like Metroidvania Mandragora, primarily because of its art style and how it looks, but also since there is an appetite for a game like this. Think Salt and Sanctuary, for example. The good news is that its demo is available right now, so you can get a feel for yourself, and do look forward to the release as well. Watch this video for more upcoming Metroidvanias, although it is probably due for an update soon, so subscribe in order not to miss 2025's edition.